Hello, everyone. There was always something quietly extraordinary about Deborah Kerr. In a world obsessed with scandal and spectacle, she stood apart, commanding attention without ever seeking it. Graceful, enigmatic, and unforgettable, her story hides shocking truths even Hollywood didn't see coming. Before his death, she revealed a side of Burt Lancaster the world never knew, a revelation that will change the way you remember two legends forever. Born on September 30th, 1921 in Helensburgh, Scotland, Deborah Jane Trimmer grew up shaped by loss long before fame entered her life. Her father, a British Army officer, died from injuries sustained during the war, leaving behind a quiet household where discipline and responsibility replaced childhood innocence. Raised primarily by her mother, Deborah was taught that strength was something practiced daily, not something displayed for approval. Before acting ever found her, Deborah devoted herself to ballet at Sadler's Wells Ballet School. Ballet trained her body and her mind, instilling control, posture, and emotional restraint. When a devastating leg injury ended her dream of becoming a professional dancer, it was more than a physical loss. It was the first great heartbreak of her life. Yet instead of breaking her, ballet reshaped her. That discipline would become the foundation of her screen presence. Every movement measured, every gesture intentional. Her acting career began in British cinema during the early 1940s, but it was her move to Hollywood that transformed her into an international star. Unlike many actresses of her era, Deborah refused to be confined to narrow stereotypes. She possessed the rare ability to balance dignity with vulnerability, intelligence with warmth, and emotional power with restraint. Audiences sensed that beneath her composed exterior lived deep emotional complexity. She became known for portraying women facing moral and emotional crossroads, women trapped between duty and desire, faith and fear, love and loneliness. She did not rely on melodrama. Instead, she trusted silence, stillness, and emotional honesty. And then came the role that would change everything. In From Here to Eternity, released in 1953, Deborah portrayed Karen Holmes, a military officer's wife, torn between obligation and longing. The now legendary beach scene with Burt Lancaster became one of cinema's most iconic images. But what made it unforgettable was not its sensuality. It was the emotional truth Deborah brought to the moment, the ache of forbidden love, the weight of restraint finally collapsing. That single scene shattered her carefully cultivated image. Deborah Kerr was no longer simply elegant and proper. She was emotionally fearless. Throughout the 1950s, she delivered an extraordinary run of performances. In The King and I, 1956, she portrayed Anna Leonovans, standing her ground with intelligence and quiet defiance opposite Yul Brynner. Though her singing voice was dubbed, the emotional depth of her performance was entirely her own, earning her yet another Academy Award nomination. In Heaven Knows Mr. Allison, 1957, she played a nun struggling with fear, faith, and unspoken love. With minimal dialogue and restrained emotion, she revealed how profoundly she could communicate inner conflict. Films such as Black Narcissus, Separate Tables, and The Innocents allowed her to explore repression, desire, and psychological terror with haunting precision. Her performance in The Innocents, 1961, remains one of the most chilling portrayals in cinematic history.
Despite receiving 6 Academy Award nominations, Deborah Kerr never won competitively. For many, it became one of the Academy's greatest oversights. In 1994, she was finally honored with an honorary Academy Award, which she accepted with humility and grace, the same qualities that defined her entire career. Behind the screen, Deborah Kerr's personal life carried the same depth and complexity that defined her performances. In 1945, in the hopeful aftermath of war, she married Anthony Bartley, a decorated Royal Air Force squadron leader whose bravery and discipline seemed to mirror her own quiet strength. At first, their union offered stability, a sense of grounding for a woman whose career was beginning to stretch across continents and sound stages. Together, they welcomed two daughters, Melanie Jane, born in 1947, and Francesca Ann, born in 1951. Motherhood became one of Deborah's most cherished roles. Despite the demands of Hollywood, she carried her devotion to her children with her, often torn between the pull of family and the obligations of an international career. Each departure came with guilt, each return with gratitude, as she struggled to balance love and ambition. As Deborah's fame and financial success continued to rise, the foundation of the marriage began to weaken. Anthony Bartley reportedly found himself overshadowed by his wife's growing stardom, and admiration slowly gave way to resentment. The imbalance created a widening emotional distance, made worse by Deborah's frequent travel and prolonged absences. What had once felt supportive gradually became strained, and the quiet fractures could no longer be ignored. In 1960, Deborah found a different kind of partnership when she married author and screenwriter Peter Vertel. Their bond was built not on roles or rivalry, but on shared intellect, mutual respect, and understanding. Together, they chose a quieter life, dividing their time between Switzerland and Spain, far from Hollywood's glare. Deborah embraced her role as stepmother to Christine Vertel, and through her daughter Francesca, she later became a proud grandmother to Lex Shrapnel, Tom Shrapnel, and Joe Shrapnel, quietly extending her legacy beyond the screen and into the next generation. Yet one of the most talked about chapters of her life remained her on-screen partnership with Burt Lancaster. To audiences, their chemistry appeared effortless and deeply romantic. Studios encouraged speculation, and fans wanted the fantasy to continue off-screen. But late in life, Deborah finally spoke, not with scandal, but with honesty. She described Burt Lancaster as a man impossible to ignore. Even before he spoke, his presence filled a room, commanding attention without effort. On screen, that intensity translated into performances that crackled with raw energy, making every scene feel alive and unpredictable. Yet what audiences never saw was that the fire never dimmed when the camera stopped rolling. Burt lived, as Deborah Kerr once said, at full volume, a man incapable of half measures, even in quiet moments. He challenged directors openly, argued with producers without hesitation, and questioned authority whenever it crossed his path. According to Deborah Kerr, it wasn't cruelty that drove Burt Lancaster, but sheer defiance. He believed rules existed to be tested, not followed blindly, a quality that made him both difficult and extraordinary. Deborah found herself caught in the tension, both impressed and unsettled by a man unwilling to soften for anyone. In his later years, when his physical strength began to fail, Deborah called it the cruelest irony of all. A man who trusted his body above everything else was forced to watch it betray him. The loss was not just physical, it was an erosion of identity. Yet even then, her words carried no judgment, only sorrow, only understanding. Deborah Kerr passed away on October 16, 2007 in Botsdale, England. The cause was complications from Parkinson's disease, an illness she faced privately, with dignity and restraint. In her final years, she stepped away from public life, choosing peace, family, and silence over applause. She died as she lived, quietly, gracefully, and without spectacle. But her legacy endures, not as a myth, not as a scandal, but as a woman who proved that emotional power does not require noise, and that true strength often whispers rather than shouts. If her story moved you, like, share, and subscribe, because legends like Deborah Kerr should never fade into silence. Thanks for watching.